video, I'm going to show you how to stain and preserve your shed. I'll show you how to prep the shed, I'll show you the preservative that I use, and I'll show you a few tips along the way. To prep and clean the shed, I like to use a soft brush, a hard brush, and a damp cloth. For the stain, I use a 100mm fence brush, a smaller 25mm brush to get into the small gaps, a metal pot for my stain and preservative, some cardboard cut to size to stop me getting any stain on the glass windows, and my wood stain and preservative. Now the stain I'm using is this Premier wood preservative, and this is a solvent based stain. I do try to do my best to be environmentally friendly, so if painting the fence I tend to use a water based stain. Now when it comes to the stain you choose, it really is a toss-up between having an environmentally friendly stain and possibly having a shed that won't last as long, or use the less environmentally friendly stain and preservative and the shed may well last twice as long. So it's up to you. I'm going with the stronger preservative as I want my shed to last as long as possible. If you're using a stronger solvent-based preservative like this, then make sure you read the back of the tin. You always have to use it in a well-ventilated area and make sure you don't do any harm or damage to any wildlife or any plants in the near vicinity. Before we get started, I've got my gloves on. You may want to wear some safety goggles. I'm not going to, but do as I say, not as I do. So before we do any painting, go round your shed, use your soft brush, your hard brush and your damp cloth to remove any debris, any cobwebs and any bird poop. So you can see the cobwebs by there, for example. If the soft brush doesn't work, have a go with the hard brush and then use a damp cloth to remove anything that's left on the wood. Just do that all the way around the shed. At this point, it's a good idea to get up on top of your shed and check the condition of your roof felt. If there are any cracks or tears in your roof felt, then that's going to need to be replaced. But I'll show you how to do this in another video. Now is also a good time to check the sealant around your windows. If there's any breaks in the sealant, then this is going to need to be replaced. But I'll show you how to do that in another video. Don't forget, before you start, to cover any block paving or patio that you don't want to get covered in stain. I'm not worried about that because I've only got grass and old bricks that I'm not worried about. Let's give this a quick shake before we start. This next bit really isn't rocket science. Just use your 100mm fence brush, dip it in the stain and get it on the wood. And the secret is on your lap timber here is to make sure you get that brush right into the gaps and push that stain right in, because they're going to be the weak points in your wood that are prone to rotting. If need be, take your smaller brush and just push it right up in that gap, but this one's doing a perfect job for now. The same with any splits in your wood like that. Get this treatment right into those gaps. Where you're painting around your windows, cut a piece of card to size like that, pop it in the window, and you can paint up to the card and you don't get anything on the glass. Now on the bits around the windows like this, use your small brush and just make sure you get plenty of stain and preservative into that end wood grain, because this will be a weak point for water penetration. And again, when getting into this inside bit of the window, place your cardboard against it and use that to prevent the window getting any stain over the glass. And a quick tip for you, when you're doing the low sections like this, a bucket turned upside down makes an excellent seat. And when it comes to the hinges, you can either tape them up to avoid covering them in stain, or if you've got the stain that I'm using, when you put it on you can hardly see it anyway, and it gives the metal a bit of protection, so I'm just going straight over the hinges. Now it's a good idea to treat the inside of your doors because obviously they open and close, so they could be subject to the elements. When you've got a catch like this that twists around, you'll find behind it there's a bit that you haven't managed to paint, so it's a good idea to let the paint dry, come back out when it's dried off completely, twist the catch around and paint the bit that you never got the first time round. And that's the shed painted. The final thing to do is give your brushes a clean. If you've used a water-based stain or paint, then we can do this just by washing it under the tap. If you've used a solvent-based stain, then you're going to need to use something like white spirits or terps. I've used a solvent-based stain, so I'm going to use some white spirits. Pour some in the bowl that I was using for my paint. Just a small amount like that is enough. I'm then going to use the paint brushes to give the bowl a clean. and at the same time I'm giving the brushes a clean. You'll find all the paint will come out, and once you're happy you've given them a good clean, you can rinse them off with water and put them back into storage. And then pour your dirty white spirits into the empty tin that you've got left over. You can now discard this safely at your local civic amenity site. All done. For more DIY, how-to, household tips and product review, please watch my other videos and don't forget to subscribe. I've been Pouse Around the House. Ta-ta, farewell.